to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is nutrition, and we're going to discuss losing 50 pounds in 10 weeks or less. So, this is not a recipe of how actually to do this, because I don't think it's very smart to do. But what I wanted to do is share some experiences of my past and some extreme variations of diets, so that way we could see, even in extreme cases, the basics that I tell you guys all the time about are still kind of like what you apply and what you use. You just have to use them in extremes if you want an extreme result. So I have lost 50 pounds in 10 weeks or less, which is an average of 5 pounds a week for obviously 10 weeks. But I've done that 3 times in my life, and one time I did it in 8 weeks. So the very first time ever was because a friend challenged me to see who could lose 50 pounds fastest, and I won. I thought it was a good mental challenge, and so I did it a second time, and then the third time I tried to do it faster, and I got there in 8 weeks. And then from there, I just realized I didn't want to do that ever again because they were all 3 awful times. But it was neat to prove to myself that not only could my knowledge do it, but also could my mental toughness, and could I just do it. So it was neat experiments. I definitely don't recommend it because you don't lose. What you lose will not stay off. So for each of those times, I was apparently fat enough that I had 50 pounds to take off. But also it's not a healthy way to lose weight because it's not a permanent lifestyle. So I'll go through here and explain what I did, but it's not something that could be sustainably done for the rest of my life. Therefore, it got 50 pounds off my body on a scale, measured by a scale. So you don't know, the reason why I specify that is you don't know how much of it was fat, how much of it was water loss, how much of it was muscle loss, because a scale only measures all of your weight. So everything that factors into your weight. Hell, I could have got a haircut, and that would have made me way lighter. But we know that hopefully the majority of our efforts, and we do things correctly, we hope they're what we're losing is fat, but we don't really know if all we're using to measure ourselves is a body weight scale. So sometimes people will use bioelectrical impedance devices, which are like little handheld devices where you'd step on a scale, and they have these little metal things that sends like a kind of electric, we'll just say it sends an electric force through your, like from one metal pad to the other metal pad. So if it's a handheld device, it'll go from one arm across your chest to the other arm. So it really only measures the body fat along your upper body, like your chest line. So for females, they'll typically read you fatter than what you actually are because you have breast tissue and you have fat on your upper body, more disproportionately than you would the rest of your body. So the foot ones, the scales, it'll send the electric force from one leg up across your groin down to the other leg. Kind of takes the shortest pathway possible. So that really only measures body fat of the lower body. So bioelectrical impedance devices are not entirely accurate because they don't measure your whole body, and they have what's called a standard of error to them of around 3%, meaning that if it reads you at 12, you could be anywhere from 9 to 15, and that machine is considered accurate. So they have hydrostatic weighing, where you can weigh underwater. They have air displacement, which is called a bod pod. And then you have DEXA scans, which are like you lay on a table and this thing like scans over top of you, and it can measure out body fat over the whole body and also different regions of the body. DEXA scan is by far the best one to do. And there's actually, like, I live really close to Charlotte, North Carolina, and there's a facility you can go up there, and for like $50 you can get a DEXA scan done, which is really cheap for how awesome it is and how much information it can tell you. So there are different ways to weight measure yourself, and then you can do like skin fold calipers, but skin fold calipers are absolute horse shit. Because I'll tell you, because I'm certified to do them, you have to have like 1,000 experiences, like, so you have to do it 1,000 times before you're considered like adequate at it. And even within that, it has a huge standard of error. So even somebody who's done skin fold caliper measurements 1,000 times, and you do the full, I think it's like a 7-point measurement system where you measure 7 points of the body, you take these equations and blah, 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 That's not even 100% accurate. So then you have somebody, Joe Blow, trainer down the street, who's never done it 1,000 times, and they're only doing like a 3 point test compared to the full test. That's absolute horse shit. They're just charging you money and wasting your time. So sorry to all the trainers who do that, but if you do that and you didn't know that what I just said was true, why the hell are you doing it if you're not educated? Okay, so you can use a scale. It's totally fine. It's easy. Everybody has access to them. Just understand that they show a lot more than just fat. Okay, it measures water weight loss. Like muscle tissue loss. It can change every day. In general, I tell clients to expect their weight to change within a window of 2%, and that just being absolutely normal, unavoidable. It's just a change of life. So every single day they can wake up with a different degree of water retention. Even if they ate super duper consistent and their sodium and carbs were exactly the same as the day before, hell, the humidity can change. If you did 10% extra activity, that can make you more dehydrated. If it was muscle building activity, that actually can make you more waterlogged because your body had more stress. So cortisol levels change your body weight, a whole bunch of stuff. So a scale, the number on the scale, your body weight on a scale, can fluctuate within 2% every day, and that's totally normal. It doesn't mean you got fat, like a pound fatter than yesterday. We don't accumulate body fat that fast. So I can't form and actually gain a pound of fat in a day. This is something where I will get sensitive, and I'm sure other trainers do, is when a client comes in and they're like, oh my God, I gained weight since yesterday. And you talk to them and it was like 0.4 pounds. We just want to slap you in the face because it's so damn stupid to be concerned over 0.4 pounds. However, if the person doesn't know that a 2% fluctuation is normal, and they don't understand that your body's going to change a little bit from day to day, then yes, they honestly do think they just gained 0.4 pounds of fat a day. So, in their reality, that is something to be concerned over. So, as a trainer, we try to educate. So, I more so get justifiably annoyed to the clients that I've had for months and years, and they still get whiny and bitchy when their weight changes by 0.3 pounds. Oh, I'm up I'm up 0.8 from last week, and I'm like, who gives a shit? It's 0.8 pounds, you're fine. So what you want to track is actually adherence to rules. So your adherence to your diet, not just the results. So if you just track results, you're going to always be fluctuating in your level of adherence because the body does not lose weight in a linear fashion. So we did a podcast way back, podcast number 5. So that tells you how important this is, as it was one of the first freaking things I wanted to make a podcast for. But in podcast number 5, titled Weight Loss is Not Linear, we explain all the reasons why weight loss doesn't happen at 0.2 pounds every day, consistently perfect all the time. Okay? The body weight does change in different times. Our body will get stubborn, it'll kind of put up a fight on something, and then hit a plateau, and then as long as you stay with your adherence, okay, to your diet, all of a sudden the weight will come off a couple days. You'll get a couple drops in a couple days, and then it kind of plateaus again. So it's kind of like if a wife has to nag a husband to get something done. She'll nag, 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 nag for a couple days. The lazy ass husband finally gets off his butt and does the thing. So when we diet, we are nagging at our body, and we're saying, hey, take fat off, take fat off, take fat off. And after a couple days in a row, the body goes, fine, and it'll take some fat off. So it's kind of like that. You have to put in very consistent effort, but the results don't look consistent because the body puts up a fight. Excuse me. So the body puts up a fight, and it'll get kind of cranky before it has to put in the efforts to make the changes that we want. Okay, so all of that being said, little side rant. This podcast is not advocating that you actually try to lose 50 pounds in 10 weeks. That's not what I'm doing here. But like I said, I want to tell you what I did to do that, and then just kind of show you how you just have to apply the regular rules. So what I did, for all 3 diets, I ate the exact same food at every single meal. Breakfast, mid morning, lunch, mid afternoon, dinner, and then even if I was hungry at the end of the day, I ate the same thing. So I ate the exact same thing for 10 weeks in a row at every single meal. Yep. So, was this healthy? Hell no. So, I didn't really do these challenges with health in mind. I was doing them as a young, naive person who didn't realize that their health had any concern necessary. It's just, you're like, I'm going to lose 10, like 50 pounds in 10 weeks, and you just go do it. You don't think, is this healthy for me? You just want to go do it. So, but what that did for me was it made what to eat an easy choice because there was no choice. I just ate the same thing every meal. So that reduced what's called decision fatigue. So as you diet or as you get kind of more worn out and tired from efforts of our day or efforts from a diet or stress of life, it becomes harder to make good disciplined choices. So when dieting and knowing that I was going to be pushing the limits and getting myself pretty worn out, I knew that if I gave myself choices, that at some point in time I would have made a bad choice. I would have gotten fatigued and I would have made a bad choice. So, to fight decision fatigue, to fight the temptation of picking something I shouldn't pick, or to eat a little bit more of this. So, most commonly women, but anybody who's ever done a diet where you allow yourself like peanut butter or almond butter or cashew nut butter, especially peanut butter, it's one of the sweeter things you'll have on a diet for most cases, like contest prep people. So all of a sudden, like your tablespoon of peanut butter turns into like a huge ass glob that you can fit on the spoon. Then you convince yourself it's still a tablespoon because it fits on the tablespoon when it's like half the damn jar. um, we will over time kind of bend the rules. We change things a little bit. We try to make it easier on ourselves. Everybody's human. So one of the ways to fight the human part of me was to just have myself have absolutely no freaking choice. I was just going to eat the same damn thing every meal. So what I used to eat was ground turkey, so lean ground turkey. I had brown rice, marinara sauce because it added some moisture and some sweetness, and then olive oil. So I will tell you to this day that I do not eat ground turkey. My body wants to like throw up anytime I try to put it in my face. I hate brown rice. I don't mind marinara sauce, of course, because it's sugar. And then olive oil is fine. But I do not eat ground turkey and brown rice now anymore because I absolutely murdered myself with that stuff. But at the time, I actually chose those because I don't like them. So I didn't like ground turkey already. I definitely don't like it now. And I didn't like brown rice already, and I definitely don't like it now. But I knew if I had to eat foods that I didn't like, that I would also be less likely to overeat them because I didn't want to eat the amount I already had to eat. Why the hell would I eat more? So that was another way to kind of self-sabotage any bad behaviors. Was if I would have like said, okay, I'm gonna eat pizza every meal. Well, shit, I'm gonna eat like way more pizza than I really should. So by eating food I didn't like, it made sure that I would, struggle to get the minimum in, and I would never really want to eat extra. So what that also represented was the ground turkey gave me protein. The rice and the marinara sauce gave me different degrees or different digestion rates of carbohydrates, and the olive oil gave me fat. So I had things I could play around with within that. So if I'd eat really close to a workout, I would take the olive oil out because it would digest too slowly to provide my energy for the workout. So if I had to eat like 30 minutes before the workout, I'd just eat ground turkey and marinara sauce. I would take out the brown rice because it would digest too slowly. It wouldn't even be useful in the workout. Then I'd take out the olive oil because it would digest too slowly and I wouldn't be useful in the workout. But if I was eating right before bed, I might just eat a lot of ground turkey, a little bit of brown rice, a little bit of marinara sauce, and a lot of olive oil. So we had a lot of protein from the ground turkey and had a lot of fat from the olive oil, so that way the protein would digest slowly throughout the night. So it gave my body a more slow, steady stream of protein throughout the night so I could heal. So those were the only four things I ate, but I did eat them in whatever percentages and amounts that seemed right for the different meals and the timing of my meals per day. Okay? The other thing that this did was it also helped reduce cravings because my body figured there was no point in making a craving for something like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if you could have this or this? Because it knew I wasn't going to do it. I gave my body no choice. So, therefore, as I was going through the dieting process, I had very limited cravings because I had set myself up where there was no choice to have any foods, like variety. So therefore my body didn't try to get me to eat extra calories by tempting me with variety. So what cravings are is they're very just specific degrees of hunger. And it's typically our body when it can feel that we're undernourished and we're not eating enough. It says, oh man, for me to survive well, I need them to eat more food. So the body's going to go, hey, you need to eat. And you're like, no, I'm dieting. And the body goes, well, I need you to eat. Otherwise, I'm going to have to burn off this body fat. I'm going to have to do work. So I want you to eat. And then you're going to go, no, I'm dieting. And the body goes, well, they're not eating, but maybe they'd eat that candy bar that they really like all the time. So let's say it's a Snickers. The body will go, hey, you haven't had a Snickers in a while. And then you'd say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I really haven't. And all of a sudden it gets you thinking. So specific cravings are an advanced form of hunger that your body is trying to get you to eat food. So instead of just saying generally, hey, we're hungry, eat, which you can fight off, it'll start naming specific things it would like you to eat. And then you're more likely to cave. So that's actually what cravings really are, is it's just a specific manipulative way for your body to try to get you to eat food. So since I wasn't eating anything of variety, my body didn't feel that, it was like, hey, you should have a Snickers. And I'm like, jackass, I'm eating turkey, rice, and marinara sauce and olive oil. That's it. And they'd be like, hey, you even had a burger for a while. I'm like, dude, I'm eating turkey, brown rice, marinara sauce, olive oil, that's it. So it gave me a very specific list my body wouldn't fight for. Okay? So the other thing was it was convenient. So I just went to the grocery store and bought a buggy full of all of those 4 things. And when I cooked in big batches. I'd package it away in Tupperware containers, and then I would just reheat them and eat them when I needed them. And every day or two when the resources got low, I'd just cook again every night. So it was very easy. And then the other part of it being easy was it was easy to make manipulations and changes as the diet went, because I only had to manipulate 4 things. So if I needed more recovery, but I know I can't increase my calories, I might need to increase my protein, so I would just eat more ground turkey. That was my only source of protein, so I'm just going to eat more of that. I knew if I was kind of, maybe my joints were hurting, my body was kind of feeling beat up and lethargic, I might have to eat a little more olive oil, give my body a little more fats. So, but that would be the idea, is it gave me just 4 things to manipulate, which was much easier than trying to manipulate a diet full of 12 or 16 food items, which can be a little more confusing as to which one needs to change in what way. Okay? The other thing I did was I increased cardiovascular activity. Now, for anybody who listens to this podcast for a long time, or a semi-decent amount of time, you'll know that I advocate resistance training over cardio, and I think cardio is damn near a waste of time. So why in the world did I do cardiovascular activity? Well, I was already training 6 to 7 days a week with weights. So it was pretty much 7 days a week. I was training every day, but every now and then I probably missed a day here or there. But I typically at that time in my life was training every single day, because at this time I was teaching at the local university and taking grad classes. So that was kind of the only thing I had to do. So it was a very easy schedule. Looking at that time, I didn't think it was easy, but looking back at it now, it was a hell of a lot easier than what I do now. But I was able to fit working out in every single day without much of a challenge. So since I was already resistance training 7 days a week pretty much, my ability to recover from exercise was already pretty much maxed out. So if I had any recovery, if I had known, hey, I have a little more I could recover from, I could probably do 10% more, I would have lifted weights more. So the reason why I added cardio was my body could not recover any more from the resistance training. If I added any more resistance training, I would not have recovered between workouts. I would have started getting joint issues like my joint pain, small nagging injuries. It would have just torn your body down. So what I did was I used cardio to just help with burning a little more calories. Okay? So it required very little recovery and just burned calories while I was active. The reason why cardiovascular activity only is a horrible choice, okay, to be your activity for fat loss is because it only really burns calories while you're doing it. Whereas resistance training, you burn calories during the recovery process. When you go into the gym and you do resistance training and you tear up your muscles, you damage your muscles, you're burning calories while you're doing that. But you're also going to burn calories while your body recovers and repairs and fixes those muscles. So you burn calories while you're doing it, and you burn calories while you're recovering from it. Cardiovascular activity is just burning calories while you're doing it and nothing else. So in podcast 181, titled Using Muscle Damage for Fat Loss, we discuss this in more detail about why you should use resistance training as your activity to burn calories, not cardio. So if you're out there and you're doing fat loss and you're dieting and doing cardio but you're not lifting weights, you're wasting your time. You are doing it in a very inefficient way. Oh my gosh, you could be getting way better results. So you are putting in 100% effort but only doing things that are going to yield like 60% result. That should not make you feel comfortable. You should be frustrated that you would only be getting 60% out of 100% of effort. So, go listen to podcast 181, Using Muscle Damage for Fat Loss, and go listen to podcast number 30, titled Muscle Cardio, How to Lose Fat Without Losing Muscle. That'll tell you how to go about using weights to burn calories. Okay? So if you shouldn't do cardio to burn calories, how should you use weights? Go listen to podcast number 30. So don't just do cardio for fat loss. It's inefficient and you are wasting time, wasting energy, wasting what I probably am guessing is something that feels significant to you. If you're taking the time to do 20 minutes or more of cardio every day, that's probably challenging for you to do. You're probably putting in effort to make that happen. And you're only going to get 60% of results from that. Ugh, that shouldn't feel good. Okay? So, why I used cardio was because I'd already been lifting as much weights as I possibly could. But I needed to burn more calories, so I went on the treadmill and I burned some calories, but I knew I didn't dip into my recovery abilities very much. So it worked out really well. Okay? So, that was what I needed. So I needed to increase my activity level so I could increase my calorie expenditure as I was controlling my food to decrease my caloric intake. So I had calories coming in going down, but I had calories being burned going up. And that helps with fat loss. Okay? So then the other thing I did was I checked my weight every single day. Now, if you do not go back and listen to podcast number 5, weight loss is not linear. It'll freak you the hell out to weigh yourself every day because it'll be really inconsistent and it'll change all the time. But what you want to do, the reason why I advocate doing it, and a ton of other people do too, is you can see trends and patterns. So you can see, okay, through week 1, throughout those 7 days, my weight went up a little bit from Monday through Wednesday, but then it dropped back down, towards the weekend. Or what you'll see most commonly is people eat really well Monday through Thursday. Okay, so they'll lose a pound or 2 Monday through Thursday, then they eat like jackasses on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then all of a sudden they're heavier the next Monday. So if you see yourself, if you're weighing yourself, and you see every Monday I'm high in weight, every Thursday I'm lower in weight, that means you're not eating well during your weekends. Okay, so you might need to tighten up on the weekends if you're not getting the overall trending results. So over the course of, say, 4 weeks, your weight isn't changing much. You might be sabotaging your Monday and through Thursdays, great efforts, by putting in crappy efforts Friday through Sunday. Okay? So if you mess up Friday night, eat like a butthead on Saturday and Sunday, that's 2.5 days out of 7. So whatever the hell the math of that is, because I don't want to do that math, but whatever that is, 2.5 days out of 7, that's a pretty large percentage. Okay, it's a significant enough percentage that it's slowing your results down. So you want to make sure you try to eat better on the weekends if you notice that your weight at the beginning of the week is always higher than your weight at the end of the week. Okay? So, I'd weigh myself every day. I'd see what the trending kind of behavior was throughout the week. So, make sure I wasn't eating like a jackass on the weekends. And then make sure from week to week to week, everything was kind of going down in some sustainable, like visual way. So, obviously, if I was losing 50 pounds in 10 weeks, I was getting to see on average 5 pounds of weight change a week, which is enormous. So that gave me a very clear trend. So if I went 2 weeks in a row and I only lost 2 pounds, I knew I was screwed. I was falling behind my rate. So I might have to change my food, might have to change my activity level, do something to get that number to jump back up. So most people, actually 99.9999999%, are not going to be dieting at a rate where you'll see 5 pounds of weight change a week. You might see 1 or 1.5 pounds or 2 at most. Okay, so it's going to be a little harder for you to see those trends, but that is what you're looking for. You know, is my weight relatively consistent throughout the week, or am I heavier on Mondays than I am on Thursdays? So that would tell me what I need to do on my weekends. And then, am I trending every week over the course of, say, 4 weeks? Am I losing the overall weight that I want? So in 4 weeks, are my average numbers down 2 to 4 pounds? That's what your goal is. Okay? So, my formula for losing 50 pounds in 10 weeks or less was to decrease calories, maintain adequate protein intake. I ate more when I was more active, I ate less when I was less active, and I ate good food without much variation, so that way it wouldn't cause, actually without any variation, so it wouldn't cause cravings, and my emotional, mental control of the diet would be better, and my overall feel and energy levels of the diet would be the best they could be. So in podcast 329, titled Meal Frequency Effects on Diet, we talked about how if you eat more often, you can just feel better while you're dieting. So I did that as well. I ate pretty often throughout the day. I also maximized my resistance training before I added cardiovascular training. And then I adjusted slowly as my results dictated I should. So I had to actually track what was happening. So too often people say, oh, I exercise and I eat well, but they don't track anything, okay, in what they, like what's happening to their body. You're like, oh yeah, I feel leaner, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then the same people in 4 weeks are like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting any results. Because now all of a sudden they're freaking out and they're not measuring shit. So they feel like they're putting in a lot of effort, but they're not getting what they want from it because it's not this blatantly obvious results that they can see all the time. So if you're not tracking what is happening, you are eventually going to freak out and kind of need confirmation for your efforts. So just go ahead and track and see what's happening with your diet. So track adherence and track the results, okay? So what I did was pretty much what I tell you guys all the time, is when you put together a diet, whether it's for fat loss or weight gain, calories is number 1, protein is number 2, meal timing is number 3, food quality, macronutrient quality is number 4. And I prioritize resistance training over cardio training. So I did the exact same things I'm telling you guys to do all the time, but I just did them to the extreme so that way I could get an extreme result. But there was nothing fancy. If you notice, did I mention anything about a supplement? Nope, because I didn't use fat burners. I didn't use any HCG shot bullshit that is unhealthy, and people should be like, ugh, you should be in jail for selling HCG shots, by the way. It's very unhealthy for people. I just did the basics. I did the basics with pretty good control, and I did the basics to the best of my ability. But I didn't need anything fancy. So it didn't matter if the food was organic or not organic. You know, it didn't matter, oh God, like whatever all the millions of things people think that matter. None of that mattered. I didn't need supplements. I didn't need anything fancy, okay? So it's just effort. That's all it takes is just effort. Attention to detail and effort, okay? So hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight into, even if you wanted an extreme result, it still comes from the most basic stuff. So that's going to be our goal, is just monitoring the basics that we talk about all the time, and then that's going to get us to what